This was a panel that I created, not because I thought, what a great idea to do on villains, but I'm gonna get you. It was a good experience, but she's still traumatized. One guy, one of my agents came up to me and said, you should do a villains panel. And as an actor, you don't want to think about your characters as being villains, being bad, or being good. You as an actor are making choices for your characters based on what your character wants. So I, for instance, as Xemnas, am not thinking about being a bad guy. I'm Xemnas and I want what I want. And I go after it. That's how the plot line is set up, right? Don't judge, the moral side of your character. Otherwise, you end up, being two-dimensional, like I'm Xemnas. Remember, international date line too.
All time zones.
Yeah, yes, there you go. Actually, a lot of my characters do have that side to them. So I thought I would go ahead and create the villains panel and turn it into a voice panel. So we're going to talk about how to create the voices, and then some brave volunteers will get up here and get on mic and perform some characters that I have. Any luck? It's a lot of stuff. But if you don't, we can use this. All right. So yesterday at Voice Maker, we talked about how to create voices. How many were here yesterday for that? Okay, very good. Why you're coming back to punish yourself again, I don't know, but I appreciate it. What I did was talk about layering of voices, how we actually create them. So those of you who were not here, the ones who did it yesterday don't have to because you know how bad it looked. But those of you who weren't here yesterday, thrust your jaw forward like this, and lower jaw, and say along with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Okay, you have no idea how dumb you look. So you can stop. Okay. Now that actually was a character voice, so give yourselves a hand. Like we talked about yesterday, what creates a voice is a change in something like the articulators, a change in the way that you place your voice. It's still your voice, but it somehow sounded different. The reason for it was you changed the actual resonating chamber. By doing that, you can hear what it does to my voice, but I'm speaking the way I normally do. But by moving my jaw forward, the resonating chamber is different, and the sound comes out. Wind instruments are like that. That's why a bassoon sounds different from the clarinet. How many people know what a bassoon is? I had to look it up. Not really know what it is. I love the sound of it. You've never heard of the famous bassoon player, from Czechoslovakia. It's always a violinist. Famous bassoonist from Poland. And he's going to be on PBS this week. Okay. Anyway, that's what really happens. All you're doing is changing something in your articulation that creates a different voice. And that has to do with pronunciation. So here we go again. But I can't close that door.
You can't.
Blam! Okay, that quieted everything down. So, when you have the talking about pronunciation and the movement, that's one thing. She's going to take us. When you have changed the pronunciation just by moving your jaw, or like moving your lips forward like that, okay, that's called funneling your lips, okay? That makes it sound different too. But you can also place your voice differently. So where did I place my voice when I started talking like this? That's
back your throat.
Back of the throat. Oh, it got much louder. Perfect.
Yeah.
I love competing with another room.
Shut your gob.
Anyway, by making the throat kind of throaty like that, creating the voice like that, throaty, or there are other words for it, kind of making a raspy sound. But imagine if you put those two together. So I move my jaw like this, and I make my
voice sound like this, throaty. Does that sound like Pulsing Peter anymore?
Yeah, I sometimes show up at a convention for the first time, a brand new place, never worked with it before. I get up and I introduce myself and say, my name's Paul St. Peter, and this is my voice, because I never get to use it. I don't go in as Paul St. Peter and do the job. They always call me because of the accents, because of the character voices, the monster voices. I speak different languages. They're coming in to speak Spanish or something like that, or French in one case. Different story. Can you do a French accent? Sure I can. I show up, and on the podium are my first lines, and it's not with a French accent, it's in French.
Oh.
Thanks a bunch, you know. And I speak enough French that you would imagine it was fairly simple, so I did it. But then somebody walked into the room, and she was the one who was going to coach the actor who was going to speak Spanish. And the producer said, is French man going to be Spanish man too? Yeah, because I was the only one who spoke Spanish in the room too. So that became the day they all called me International Man. You know? That was one of those I said, another surprise, thanks for telling me. But that happens. You're called upon to do things, and you have to have these skills in the front pocket so you can do things immediately. You know? To focus on the bad guy voices, you want to concentrate on creating a voice that is going to fit the character. Very importantly, when you're auditioning, it needs to be a voice that. Maybe if I do it in stereo.
I got you.
You have to create a voice that fits the print, and this is another thing. They will often say, the producers will actually say, it's okay if somebody older or younger, or maybe somebody who is, for instance, a female auditions for a male role. They will say, what counts is that it fits the voice print. So what they're after, you know. I will have somebody read some copy that I normally give to a man, and I'll have a woman do it, just to see, because sometimes that gives them some sort of different idea for the character sound. Next time, let's do it out there, so reading books. We'll have you guys fall on the carpet, all right? Listening with the ear that you had yesterday, those who were here, and the ones that are being trained now today, because you will get a sharper ear for sound based on what we're doing today. It's all without an extra charge. You will be listening to anime differently now because of the voice work we talked about here today. So, Yami Rialgo, Bleach fans? Yeah. Big, gigantic, evil, Valhalla Yami Rialgo, right? They showed me a picture of him, okay? And at that time, he was about as tall as the roof. Later on, he became like a building, or I forget how he turned into a caterpillar monster. You know, and like a director said to me once, it made sense of the Japanese, don't ask. And that's what I tell people, that, what do you mean? Like one character I played, he was a mafia don, okay? But they called him McMurdo. So he was an Italian Irishman, but he was, yeah. And so I was, and then the director was looking puzzled. I said, it made sense with the Japanese, don't ask. Besides, we're just getting paid, doesn't happen. So, Yami Rialgo is this gigantic guy. You're going to do a gigantic voice? Right, that's the voice print, you know. You don't see a gigantic guy and say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and kill you. I hope you're really scared. You should be shaken. You know, that's not right. It's not going to fit the role right. So Yami was, sorry. We have a project. When I get home, we'll be doing that reprinting. So Yami, being a gigantic guy like that, I said, go ahead and pick that big old voice. So
He became Yami Rialgo. Now, what kind of qualities are you hearing here from Yami?
the trainees can tell me how you want.
So he was very gravelly.
And so gravity and throaty and raspy might be the same thing to everyone. What if that works for you? If you're writing down a quality of a voice, and because you're creating voices, write it down that way. Whatever makes sense to you. I use all sorts of technical terms because as a teacher, that's the way I teach. And I make sure they mean the same thing to everybody. But as an actor creating a voice, use the term that works for you. Now, if it's, if you heard that voice and said whispery and gentle, yeah, you better change it. That's a different voice I'll be getting to in a minute, Blair. So, I pick a victim every weekend. So, Yami, you're also hearing, what else? Is he loud?
A little bit louder volume.
Yeah, you want to make them a bit bigger, and that's when the engineer helps you out because you'll be standing, your microphone is here, you know, and they'll go ahead and bump the gain a little bit to make the sound bigger, you know.
So I have a voice like this for Yami Rialdo. What else?
And this is a little subtler, so I'll just give it to you. I'm a little sharper in my speech.
Yami will speak like this and it's cut off.
And so that creates a different sound, which is not as easy to hear right away or pick up right away. But that is an element of the voice. Because you want to use a voice like that, and Yami, you could actually say he's amoral. He's a hollow, he doesn't have a heart, he doesn't have morals. He's just built for murder and mayhem. You know? And he doesn't feel bad about it. You might think he's awful and terrible, but that's the way he is. You know, don't blame a lion for being a lion. Let's go ahead and do another one of my villain voices. And again, those of you who are trainees, great, but others of you here at Qualities. I'll get tight on the mic so you can hear me over all that.
As you're hearing the voice of Xemnas, Organization 13, what kind of qualities are you hearing now?
Very breathy. Yes. What else? So, yes, and that's something that I was required to do.
One of us, two of us, two of us.
We're talking to you two guys. They'll go in the back and think they're going to get away with it. No, we come in that door, we got you. But then you get to join us when the next people. The reason I had to do the voice slower was because the timing for the line was like this, and the lines were written this short. So I had to solve that problem technically as an actor because they wouldn't rewrite the lines, they wouldn't add anything. They wouldn't even let me say will not instead of won't. So I had to change everything timing-wise to where I mentioned this yesterday, and it was actually happening. I actually had to say a word like,
Yes,
now the
yes.
like that actually fills a sound wave. And so that will finish off, fill almost 5 seconds for a word that takes less than 2. But I had to do that. That's why when you play Kingdom Hearts, you listen to Xemnas and I sound the way I do. I didn't audition that way. I came in, I used that voice, yes, but I didn't audition with doing all this slow stuff. So suddenly I had these short lines like,
And so the what is, you look pathetic.
which the right way to read the line to me, right? But it had to be this wide. So I went,
And so the wise, you look pathetic.
so it lasts almost a second each time, So that performance actually turned out to be sounding a lot different, but apparently it worked because I came back for the second session expecting it to throw all the stuff out, we gotta fix it. Nope, they loved it. So I did 4-hour sessions with that kind of speech. They also paid me twice as much as usual, so remember, the guy that signs the paycheck is right. Never mind how you feel, and decides when they're paying you, they're right. I'm going to do it the way you want, because you're right. I get the money, but you're right. So you want to make sure that you are going to take care of them, their needs and their wants artistically. So you're giving them the performance they want, But also you have to remember that they are thinking commercially, what is going to work for us. And for some reason, again, that timing thing, I don't know why the translators didn't somehow change this to where it would fit the file better, but that's your job. You have to make that stuff work. A little kind of a made-up voice here that I actually wrote the copy of one of the pieces we're going to have one of you guys do. But this is the voice I did for it.
As Paul St. Peter, I come in and I am an evil sort of character.
Now, is this one big, a gigantic character? No. Probably comes as something like smaller. It's got a sense of humor, I love that. I did that in Australia, by the way. I did a con in Darwin, Australia. They'd never had a convention there, which I didn't know. So when I said, drum roll, please, and they all were going. So I had to teach them the chairs and the knees and all that stuff. But when I did the one of us thing, I was by myself, but they were going, oh. I said, okay, this is how we greet people that walk into the panel after we start. And then after that, they're, oh, okay. But with their dialect, one of us. It's fine, it's not something the same as we did. You know, different saying completely, you know. That voice, the voice of what I call sinister, okay? So does it sound like a big character? How would you envision the character?
Talking more like this.
Bandit A.
What's that?
Bandit A.
Leaving
I kind of envisioned that character as being older, like a wizard, and that's the way I direct the person. And if you do that, one of you reading that will be the direction I'll give you, and you need to make that work. And it has an evil quality to it, but also kind of an obnoxious quality. And why? Nasal, right? You know, if you just want to make a character, you know, loony or somebody you wouldn't like, you just throw in the nasality, or nerdy or something like that. Or just, you know, like a little kid playing a game and think it's really cute. The problem is after 5 minutes, shut up, kid. You know, after that, you know, it just keeps going, you know. But you have the throaty quality and the nasality, and what else? The pacing was a bit slower.
So as I'm telling someone what I'm going to do to them, because I'm going to,
For whatever I'm doing like that, you take more time. That deliberate quality creates a little sense of newness. You know? One reason that Xemnas is a little scarier because of that slow pace. And suddenly, everybody playing the game is going, what's he got going? What's going to happen? And luckily with the lighting and the direction of that game, that's kind of the way it comes out, the way it feels, you know. So doing a villainous voice, you want to take those qualities into mind. You also want to think, do they show you a picture of the character? When I did One Punch Man, I get that mixed up all the time. I've never worked One Piece, but I did work on One Punch Man. I got the character Beast King, and they told me he was a bad guy. Knowing One Punch, I realized I had one episode. If you know One Punch, you know what I'm talking about. When you're a bad guy, you fight the guy and you get one punch and you're dead. Your character's gone. You know? I said, okay, I know I have one day of work. So I walked in, and if you know Digimon, yeah, I was the voice of Leomon, and they said, you know, we are going to show you a picture of Beast King. So he brings it up, and it basically he looks like Leomon if he was a biker. So I call him Biker Leomon for that reason. You know, the piercings, and there's no room on the picture that I made to sell at my merch table to put my name anywhere. So I put my name as tattoos on his arm. So it's a Paul St. Peter Beast King like that. Because I, as a person that chose the picture, realized there's like 2 places you can sign. So I had to somehow fit that stuff somewhere. But he looks like a really mean, rough character. And so I said, really? I said, it's very, very derivative. I said, and what voice would you like me to use? Would you please? So, Beast King came out a little like Leomon,
but I funneled my lips forward more like this. Not like Yami like this, but forward more like this with the Beast King.
you know. That was based on picture. And you also look at the lines because sometimes you don't get a picture. They want you to audition for a bad person role or whatever the case may be, and you don't get to see anything, so they give you what's called a breakdown. They tell you what the character is about, who they are, what they mean to the story. You know, they are a bad, rotten person because in their childhood, their parents were taken by velociraptors or something like that. Whatever, you know. And that's all the background, but they'll actually tell you a lot about the character, and from there you make your choices too. Now, luckily, if they send you a picture to look at, usually you can just take a look at them and tell what they're going to be like. I did one in Digimon where I was done with whatever character I was working on that day, but maybe 20 minutes left, but done all my cues. Okay, we have another character. Go ahead and give it a try. Take a look at the picture. So this character had eyes like this, and a long nose with teeth sticking out. And I looked at his dialogue, and as you guys heard this yesterday, his line was,
I hope you kids are gonna give me a good tip, or you'll get hair in your lifetime.
is that a nice person? Absolutely not. I want to make sure to be as obnoxious as the dialogue leads them. Thank you. Thank you. Go that way. So sometimes you get a lot of comfort. Other times they will just give you a very quick, brief description, and you're going to record it at home, so you don't have a director. So you have to make those creative choices yourself. Make them strong. Make them definite. And make them strong. Make them definite, and commit to them. Because ultimately, you are not going to be the one who is casting. Someone else is going to cast you, so you have to give them a strong choice that will make them want to work with you. But a lot of times as an actor, you have to make very powerful choices with no help at all. And sometimes it ends up being all wrong, but the key is to make sure it's distinct, it's something that to them would be castable, it's got the energy and it's got commitment. On the other hand, sometimes you'll make a commitment to a role and make a strong choice, audition, and when you don't get cast, you never hear it. A lot of people think, well, they call you and tell you, right? No. It goes out there, and you never hear anything. That's just the way it is. Good villain. You're on your own, take your jacket off yourself. So, how many in this room have thought about going into voice acting? Even on a mild, like that, kind of, sort of? Yeah.
Oh, I love you.
One of my helpers when I first started here. Yama-con 12 years from now. I've been here through snow and fire. You'll remember that from time. So you sometimes have to be at home and be the director, the producer, the actor, and the writer, and make all these incredible choices, and then you just go ahead and record it, send it out there, and that's done. That's the way it has to be, you know. And if you're lucky, they go ahead and cast you. But those are choices you have to make, even if they're not what they want. Since they're not telling you what they want, you have to do that. Again, strong, active choices. Now, in terms of those of you who did kind of sort of raise your hands in terms of going into voice acting, first of all, I don't recommend it. It's not a good idea to be an actor. I have to. It's a good idea for me. I just can't. I can't not do it. At least it's not on the script. But those are the things you need to consider if you're going to say, yes, I'm going to step up there. First of all, you have to be an actor, ground yourself, do theater, do improv, do all these things to become a grounded, solid professional, so that when you step in front of a microphone, you're not just bringing your voice to the process, you need to bring the acting choices. You need to bring all of those vital, the humanity, all of this stuff has to be brought into the process. So those of you who are saying, well, I'd sure like to be a voice actor, you have to be an actor first. The reason I say bad news, don't do it, 96% of people that go into voiceover quit. What I do is extremely difficult. It's not because I'm super special, it's just a strange combination of skills. You have to be able to cold read on the fly. Now when they use what's called a rhythmo band, the rhythmo band actually, the dialogue is on the bottom of this page, and it goes like this, and you have to perform it, acting, choices, timing, all this stuff as it goes, and you haven't had a chance to see it before. You're working cold. So it is an extremely difficult thing to do, and most people can't do it to begin with, but most of them try to stick with it. 96% leave. It's just so difficult, you know. The number of people that do what I do effectively is probably low to mid hundreds. It's just so weird and demanding. Luckily for me, thanks to the ear I got from my mom and dad, and the skills I have vocally, and also being able to be eye-mouth coordination, it's in a lot of ways kind of easy for me. But that's very unusual. Most people go in and they just fail because, and there's nothing wrong. People with better voices, that are better actors, can't do those other things. You know? So it's nothing taking away from them as an actor. Just this peculiar way that we do voiceover is just so odd, strange. All right, I have 3 roles. So actually do 4. I need someone who can do a movie trailer voice. So who, I need 4 volunteers. Who would like to give this a shot? Okay, 1, 2. 1 woman, come on. You know the song, Hear Me Roll? At least one of you. No?
I'll be the woman.
He's every woman. It doesn't have to be these roles, maybe they're going to be assigned to men, but I like to go against type. Sometimes I'll have a young lady come up and read a role and she will make these choices that knock the ball out of the park. And so that would make a casting director say, you know, we could make this a female role and she'd be perfect because she actually blew me away because of her performance. But that's all right. So 1, 2, stand up, and stay still. Are you raising your hand? Yes, okay. We need 1 more volunteer. Yeah, a lot of arms like this. Usually when I say, how many people think about voice acting, a lot of arms go up, but when I say, who wants to volunteer, it's sort of like, what do you mean voice acting today? I didn't need to do that. It's not that immediate. So I have 3. Okay, in the back. About time. Okay, step up.
I'll go and be back up. Last time he did this panel, he wouldn't let me volunteer because he said, you already did it.
I will give you a bit of coffee, and you'll have about 10 minutes to practice. You'll go outside amongst the din and the noise, practice, and you'll come in, and I'll have you read on the microphone. Now, I want to show you this part. You hold the copy up like this, not here. See what happens with the voice when you do that? So you put it up here so your chin is parallel to the floor. That keeps everything relaxed here, so it's a technical thing you need to do. Hold the microphone like this, okay? And if somebody kisses the mic, you're dead. I just looked at this, really. Just matter. So you'll hold the copy up like this and the microphone like this, and it will be this way. Quiet in the house, please. 3, 2, 1. You okay, Brent? 3, 2, 1, go. And that'll be the way it'll work. So that is how it happens in the studio, but we do it by beats. It goes beep, 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 talk. So it's actually technically the 4th beat, but you don't hear it. But you talk on the 4th beat, so beep, 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 talk. But I'm going to do it like this, 3, 2, 1, because we don't have beeps. As far as this microphone thing, you don't have to worry about that in a professional session. The engineer's doing all that crap. Okay? You just find out where to put your feet and you stay there whenever you're recording. Okay? Let's.
We're very liquid like that. We're actually
It just happens we have a half an hour left. Okay, let's see here. You feel sinister? That could be sinister, yeah.
Don't make me Xemnas you again.
So have a seat. I'll be sending all of you out to take about 10 to 15 minutes to prepare. That's about all the time you get in an audition. And you walk in there and you're reading a cold because they said, here's the copy, go, 10 minutes, we'll call you. So that's what I mean, you have to be ready to make strong choices very quickly. You are a warrior with lots of armor, spikes sticking out. This, by the way, was a video game audition. All they do is give you lines of dialogue. You have to make them real as though you're talking to someone else. That is extremely difficult for an actor because you're acting with phantoms, that's what I call it, acting with phantoms. Monster. A warrior, so. He's not very smart. Have a seat. This character is called Teeny Tiny. Usually I give it to the biggest person going, I guess.
Oh, you should have volunteered. Huh? You should have volunteered. You could have been teeny tiny. What?
You don't do a big old, I am a mouse.
They couldn't stop laughing.
You are by yourself. When I go in and do an anime, I walk in front of the microphone and there's nobody with me. I don't get to act. A lot of people say, well, you and Miley have this amazing chemistry as Naruto and Kurama. Well, what's it like working with her? I don't know. You stand in the booth by yourself. You are acting, as I say, with the Phantom. I didn't meet Miley till we were doing the game for 14 years. Because we never see each other in the booth. I had never worked with her at a con. I have now many times. But before then, I had never met her. So after 14 years, I ran up to her when I found she was an Naruto. I said, I'm Kurama, the 90-year-old demon fox. Oh, it's nice to meet you. So now again, we're friends and we see each other. But that's the way it is. You are in the booth and you do not get to read opposite somebody. Sometimes turn off your electronics so we don't have noise. Put your phasers on stun, as we say. All right. Okay, my actors, stand up, please. Go outside. You have about 10 minutes. Do not memorize, but get familiar with it and make a strong vocal choice. The hat's perfect, by the way. I just happened to have this. It's perfect. Okay, now that they're leaving, we can talk behind their back. So, you guys have any questions for me? We have a little bit of Q&A time here. Yes. Question: did I always want to be a voice actor? I've always wanted to be an actor. Voice acting kind of happened. The first guy got it. Oh, you mean us too? Like I said, the other thing I can do is when they walk in, they go, "Thank God you're arrived." You know, where the hell have you been? And so one of us, two of us is better. For the longest time, I wanted to be an actor. Voice acting happened for me because somebody heard me practicing my accents and dialects. As a voice actor, you want to have that, but as a stage actor, film actor, you want to be able to have those skills. So I would study with anybody I could, and I was fortunate to be in a workshop with another actor who happens to be, or happened to be at the time, the speech department chairman of the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And so he taught me privately, a few other people were in a small workshop. But that's how it happened for me, but it was kind of accidental because this is a person that heard me. So I studied the accents and the dialects, and somebody heard me doing that and asked me. Now they're as quiet as the tomb out there when I don't have a panel, right? I think that's the person sitting at that table too, setting us up. But that did in fact happen in a way kind of accidentally. But luckily I fell into it, and it turns out I'm good with the sync and all that sort of thing. Others question? Yes?
What's the hardest dialect for you?
The hardest what?
Dialect.
Dialect or accent. Okay, quick little lesson. A dialect is the manner in which you speak your own language. A southern dialect, Boston, Chicago, New York. Those are all dialects because your first language is English. So those are dialects of English. An accent is the manner in which you speak a foreign language. My French is very good, but a Frenchman can pick out that I'm not French. Okay. Spanish, especially Mexican Spanish, I fool Mexicans, but I get to a little point here and there, but they're probably going to hear something that betrays that I'm a bilingual, But the stuff I'm pretty good at doing. The hardest one, I would have to choose between Greek accent and Yorkshire or English North Country. Yorkshire's a hard one. It's a hard one. Nope, they don't say that sound in any other country, anywhere. One to wouldn't. stump to stoof. They're the only ones that do that, and it has all sorts of other weird things. And the pitch and the subtleties and all that. It's very, very hard to do. Yeah. Anyone? Yes?
So I was going to ask, when you do your gravelly voices, what can you do to exercise your throat to keep from hurting your vocal cords while you're trying to sound like this?
First of all, I recommend you don't do that.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to create a voice, a voice. Not exercises, but hydration.
Okay.
Also, this is a kind of a raspy voice. I can do it a long time.
If you're doing something like this, all right.
You won't last 5 minutes. When I do Kurama,
The nine-tailed demon fox. I hold the vocal cords and touch them lightly.
here's the mistake people when they try to do that voice. Like heavy metal musicians. You know, now there's blood running out your nose. You're messing up. I gotta bring her to every show I do. When you do that, you are actually damaging, and you can damage the vocal folds to the point where you can't talk for a whole month. You know? All right, would you fetch my actors, please? Again, sometimes you don't even have to practice. Here's the copy, go on him.
Rejoin us, peasants. Said, rejoin us, peasants.
Thanks for the cup, man. But that does happen. Yes?
Are there like one or two villains or antagonists in movies and TV shows you watch where you're like, that performance as a villain stood out to me?
Oh, yeah. Everybody know Castlevania? Yeah, I auditioned for the part of Alucard. I didn't get it, obviously. But the guy that did do the role, he's the one from Game of Thrones. Wonderful, wonderful job. And that's one of those where I wish I'd gotten the role, but bloody good at what it did. No complaints, you know. Other times I hear people and go, I would have been better. But sometimes you don't even get those auditions. But that was a good case. Another good example of that would be Naruto, single eye. Yeah, okay, Obito. When I heard the actor doing that, same thing, love the work. Sometimes you hear good writing or you see a good character written and you just want to do that role, you know. And again, great job. I'm not saying I could do a better job at all. I would be different, of course. But sometimes you see a terrific role and it's like, I wish I could have sunk my teeth in that. Okay, my 4 actors come up front, please. Big hand. All right, you'll be using this one, never mind this. What's on? Don't do that one. I just ruined it for all of them. They're all gonna get up and go, All right, how do you hold the microphone? Great. How do you hold the copy? Okay, turn around and look at the audience. Okay, what is your first name?
Let's see. My first name's Camden.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Camden, who is reading for the role of the trailer narrator for Zuran. And quiet in the house, please. And 3, 2, 1.
The planet, Onmor, has been invaded. Her people enslaved. Her riches plundered. Zorman Kai has returned to his world in ruins. His love destroyed. The invaders have taken everything except his sword and his rage. So, coming May 2015.
Thank you, Cameron. You sit down, and he gave you the copy back. Important. You know, hear about those non-disclosure agreements. This stuff is like scripture. They do not want to let it get out. You know? No matter how bad it is, to them it's scripture. We put a mask on and we will see it. Okay, so Camden's reading, thank you, the volume. He could have been more on mic. We heard him. Voice choice for a trailer.
Most of the time they're looking for something like this.
So I wouldn't ask you in terms of that, but I wanted to hear the reading. You know. Good pace. Most times people go too fast. You took your time. Thank you. So very good, Camden. Thank you. Are you on the mic? You take it out of my hands first. Hold the mic. How do you hold the copy? Good. So the mic up like that. Kiss the mic. What's your first name? Michael. This is Michael reading for Gangplank. We are recording. Quiet in the house, please. 3, 2, 1.
No mercy for my enemies. No mercy for my enemies. You think you can defeat me? Where did I put my axe? You tell me. You tell me of your failure now? I only killed 24 men.
Attention, Yama-con attendees. The vendor hall will be closing in 5 minutes. The vendor hall will be closing in 5 minutes.
They have escaped my vengeance. Never have I felt your such power. My quest unfulfilled with my death.
Okay. Michael is the right type for that role. With a little direction, I'd be able to coax a different voice out of you. But overall, would be a good sound. I would direct you to do something different than that. You know. But that was for a video game, and they always want something very broad and direct. So, please. How do you hold the microphone? Kiss the mic. That's right. And what is your first name?
Drew.
Drew? Okay. This is Drew reading for Sinister, and we are recording. Quiet in the house, please. 3, 2, 1.
My words are vipers, crawling in your veins, stealing your strength. Greater heroes than you have fallen under my spell. Yes! Resist! Each beat of your heart is a gift to me. Rage on! Make me invincible with your hatred. And look at you now, warrior, an empty shell. All you once had is now mine. Die slowly in isolation.
Rock on! Great voice choice, yes. She even went for the dialect thing. That would be something a director might want or not want, but she did a good job on that. Right kind of selection. Yeah, that was nice and evil. Very good. And last up. How do you hold the microphone? That's right. And how do you hold a copy? And what is his name?
Teeny tiny.
I know what his con name now is. Okay, you know what's his teeny tiny. Okay. Okay, this is Derek reading for Teeny Tiny. Hold your copy up. Be nice and hot on the mic. And we're recording, please. 3, 2, 1.
What was that you said? No, I couldn't carry it. That rock was way too big. I'm only a pint-sized mouse. You need more king-sized rat for this job. I'm sorry, sir. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you asked a lot for a little bit of sugar. Maybe you need some sweetness of your own. Arrgh!
So how did Teeny Tiny do? Yeah, that was a good. He also did this, which kept him away from popping the sound and all that. Not recommended. You know, they'll be, like I said, they'll do that for you with a shotgun mic typically. Okay, but voice choice, good. Pacing, very good. Did you understand what was going on? Yeah, that one's a little harder to follow, but that's what you're given and you have to make that work. So that's why I directed him to say, he's a little mouse trying to do all this work and this big rat is making him pick up a big rock, you know. And at the end, the rat goes, you know, which is where we have the ouch. Okay, we're out of time and it sure went fast because we're waiting for people to stop making noise. But anyway, thank you for coming to the Villains of Pulsate Theater and we'll see you tomorrow.